send a thank out before I bring our last speaker of the day up. I just want to thank all of the speakers and everyone who contributed to the program today, all the moderators, the speakers. And I want to give actually a little shout out to some people who weren't on our program this year, but not for any reason, just that they've been on the program in prior years, and it just didn't come together that way this year. But our good friend Gail Fugia from the ARF, new head of the ARF, whom I'm on the board of the ARF, and we do a lot of collaborations with the ARF. We also have Bob Leodis from the ANA, the head of the ANA. We're very happy to have Bob here and be collaborating with Bob on all of these initiatives. I think, did Mike Donahue still? Yeah, from the 4As in the back, always involved in research initiatives, also on the board of the ARF. And I think Cheryl Main's right in between you guys there from the IAB, and George Ivey from the MRC. We're so pleased that, I probably left out somebody, so I hesitate to do this, but we're very pleased to have all of you guys involved who are so important in moving a lot of this forward in the industry. So thank you all so much for attending. And to sum it all up, tell us where we're going to go next. No pressure, Dave. I'd like to just introduce someone whom we all know probably, the Chief Research Officer at CBS, Dave Poltrack.
Okay, so my topic is where do we go from here? Obviously, the challenge being the last speaker is to add any new perspective to the excellent amount of discussion we've had already. In my attempt to do that, I'm going to focus on, I'm going to look at the cross-platform issue from a content consumption angle. And I hope this, I'm going to go through these slides really quick because as the day went on, I changed my entire presentation. And I wanted to get to a couple of provocative areas that I think are worth pursuing. So we know that devices are changing. We know that when and where people are exposed to content is changing. The big question is the experience, the program, in our case, the program experience, and in the advertiser's case, the advertising experience, is that changing? Are social media and second screen interaction really changing the experience for the consumer? The broadening of the for the consumer, the broadening of the content distribution system is essentially a way for them to access their favorite video entertainment with greater ease and convenience. As a result, more people are watching television programming. And I'm going to use the word television to represent program content developed for television, and not television in terms of the machine that's in your living room. The measured viewing of television programming is growing. When you add in the still growing unmeasured viewing of tablets and smartphones and the delayed viewing outside of the measurement windows, the increase is even greater. In fact, today, when we ask people whether or not they are watching more or less television, almost twice as many say more, 28%, as say less, 17%. Before the turn of the century, those saying less outnumbered those saying more. The more or less ratio is actually higher for the elusive younger adults. Now, this is a significant thing because we always, before, when people said they were watching less, when more people said they were watching less prior to the beginning of the 21st century, when we always assumed it was because it was a socially desirable thing to say, because actually they were watching more, as measured. So the question is, now that they're saying they're watching more, is watching more television a socially desirable response? Interesting. Of course, today's viewers are more likely to be watching their programs in places other than the den or living room, and on devices other than the TV, particularly younger viewers. And the actual viewing experience is being enhanced by the ability to view several episodes of programs in succession, often referred to as binge viewing. The rapidly expanding ability to combine television viewing with other online activities through a second screen, and the array of social media options built around television programming. Clearly, viewers are not only watching programs on different platforms, they are enjoying an enhanced viewing experience. So when we address the challenge of the measurement of the cross-platform video consumption, we must address not only the composition of the audience across the various platforms, but variations in the viewing experience or context across those platforms. Let's look quickly at some major platforms separately. According to ComScore, there's been a 31% increase in streaming in the entertainment category. At CBS, we've seen a 40% increase in the streaming of our content. Here are the most streamed CBS programs season to date. The streaming of How I Met Your Mother and Big Bang Theory has now surpassed the million mark. Some of this change in the streaming pattern is undoubtedly due to the fact that more of the streaming is now being done on mobile devices and tablets. Certainly, this change in the device used in streaming has had an impact on the viewing experience. So provocative point number one here. Mobile. We've seen a lot, we talked a lot, we hear a lot about the explosive growth of mobile. And certainly mobile video, access to mobile video is making a dramatic change in the way we consume media. However, there is a tendency to project what we've seen so far as a process that is going to continue to change things dramatically. I would just point out in the innovation adoption process, mobile phones have now reached the critical 2/3 of the population. Mobile phones now have beautiful, flawless, high-definition resolution. Mobile phones now you can watch almost every television program, popular television program, on a mobile phone. Do not expect the rate of growth in mobile streaming to continue to accelerate or even move at the same rate. The drivers of change are already transparent. We're going to see a change and a settling in mobile consumption because it is limited by time. People use mobile devices when they have the time to use them, and there's a limit on the amount of time that is available. End of provocative point number one. So the streaming experience and the context of that experience are changing. What about the composition of the streaming experience? Of the streaming audience, I'm sorry. Well, we know it's a younger audience, as we can see from this slide, where the median age differential between the online audience and the on-TV audiences for the CBS primetime series is an average of almost 20 years difference. Let's take a look now at VOD, another place of explosive growth. This year, for the first year, the networks are releasing most of the primetime programs on VOD. This has led to a 28% increase in VOD activity. For CBS, we've seen an increase of over 58%. We know that the context of this viewing is different from that of the established DVR form of time-shifted viewing. People are moving from DVRs to VOD as their time-shifting choice. With the disabling of the fast-forward function on VOD, this is a different experience. And the audience is also different. Here are some significant differences in the rank order of the CBS programs among VOD viewers versus streamers, suggesting a unique viewer profile for each. The VOD audience is clearly more upscale than the linear television audience. This audience is also younger than that audience, but not as young as the streaming audience. For comparative purposes, here are the viewer totals for the DVR time-shifted audience, which are more consistent with the overall live viewing audience. One area in which the viewing pattern is different across 3 time-shifted platforms is the time frame of the viewing. DVR playback is more closely concentrated near the live telecast. Streaming has the longest timeline, and VOD is somewhere in the middle, but closer to the streaming timeline. If the networks move off of their current 5-episode trailing norm for available past episodes, the VOD and streaming timelines are likely to be further elongated. And we have not yet seen the introduction of digital ad insertion of ODCR, both of which are coming this fall. They are going to affect that timeline, and they are going to affect the context of VOD advertising exposure as well. Another way to look at this contextual issue is by program. Here are 3 popular CBS series with greater than average time-shifted viewing. The distribution of that viewing among the 3 time-shifted platforms is quite different. Now, many of you were in the audience a few weeks ago when we presented our updated media demand landscape segmentation at the ARF Rethink conference. In that segmentation, we identified 7 clear demand segments in the media landscape and 9 distinctive needs that media consumption was meeting for these consumers. 2 of these need states, the experience or the need states, the satisfactions provided by media, were new versus the same segmentation done in 2010. One of them was convenient catch-up. And this was certainly a need that was now being satisfied, and a new pleasure that people were getting from viewing by watching multiple episodes of a program at once in binge-style viewing. The question is that a significant difference in the actual experience in watching television? And is it exploitable? For example, if an advertiser were to choose to align themselves with a particular program, and as the program unfolded, run ads that told the story from episode to episode, and then the viewer, when they watched the program in a binge style or multiple episode style, also were following a storytelling pattern for the advertising, is that a great opportunity for an advertiser? I think perhaps it is. So let's look at time-shifted profiles for different segments. Again, each segment has a unique consumer consumption profile. And these profiles are also in transition. In 2010, when we first fielded this segmentation, program passionates, the most upscale of the segments, accounted for the highest level of DVR playback. This time, we find that many of the members of this segment were moving from the DVR to VOD and streaming for a substantial amount of their time-shifted viewing. In fact, the increase in streaming led to the emergence of a new segment, engaged streamers, joining these program passionates with the most TV-centric of these streamers. So the new platforms are expanding the reach of television content, and each is providing a unique viewer profile and viewing context. But the consumer is not the only one being affected by this new expanded viewing horizon. The advertisers are also attempting to adjust their advertising campaigns to this new viewing reality. Now, we've heard some discussion of programmatic marketing. The development of digital advertising market has led to new programmatic media marketing initiatives. The expansion of the television market across multiple screens, including those digitally delivered, has spawned a movement to introduce the programmatic media selection process to the television medium. There are many definitions of programmatic marketing, as there are manifestations of this new marketing management tool. I think the Wikipedia definition works well. Programmatic marketing campaigns are automatically triggered by a type of event and deployed according to a set of rules applied by software and algorithms. Now, I'm happy to report there's still a role for us in this process. I quote, "Human skills are still needed in programmatic campaigns as the campaigns and rules are planned beforehand and established by marketers. The role of research is to provide insights necessary to develop the programmatic algorithms and subsequently validate them." Actually, people talk about programmatic as leading potentially to the commoditization of media. I actually think, on the case of television, it may be something different. I believe that from 2008 to 2012, the current buying of media has been commoditized, being efficiency-driven because of the pressures of the recession. And I believe that programmatic opens up the opportunity for more creative solutions and a less commoditized approach to television buying. So I'm a fan of programmatic. I like the quants. Programmatic media buying is closely associated with real-time bidding, in which ad inventory is bought and sold on a per-impression basis via programmatic instantaneous auction. However, you can follow a programmatic media selection process without real-time bidding. What I see in this new era of media and analytics, what I see is this new era of media analytics what I see them leading to is a dynamic management of advertising schedules. Rather than buying a schedule and then merely stewarding that schedule to make sure it runs as planned, media agencies will be shifting weight, adding new weight, utilizing dynamic ad insertion, and monitoring delivery against sales results on an ongoing basis. For the largest multi-product advertisers, that will also involve moving ad weight between products depending on ROI by brand on a real-time basis. Now, you may think that's far-fetched, but that's actually what we do right now in the television business when we promote our new fall lineups. When we introduce our fall lineups in the upfront market, after we introduce them, we immediately test them at our research site in Las Vegas. We give that feedback to our creative people. They develop a first round of promotional announcements. We put them on the air. We simultaneously run them in programming, testing them every day at Television City. We report the feedback back to the program department, programming people. They're constantly revising the promotion, introducing new promos. So all summer long, they're churning out new promos fed by instantaneous information we get. We have weekly tracking results. The weekly tracking results tell us our awareness, our intent to view, and we follow that all the way through the trial process through our online panel. So this is real for us today, and it is very effective. That type of real-time management of a media schedule is what I think is going to evolve from all these new analytics, which means that more people can use the medium more effectively. So let's return to the question I was assigned to address. Where do we go from here? At CBS, we are building a research and analytics program designed to use these valuable new tools to help our advertisers harness the full value of television advertising. When I talk about television advertising, I'm referring to the placement of advertising in CBS program content across all screens. I'm running out of time here, so I'm just going to quickly go through the current initiatives that we are looking at in this regard. We are working with the industry, as you are all aware, to retool marketing and media mix models based on the new analytics available to us. We have launched, with advertiser support, a study to measure the long-term advertising effects, which we will be presenting at the next ARF AM 9.0 conference, and it's very exciting results. We are working to help our advertisers improve their targeting through the new single source measures. We are developing ways to help advertisers measure the message, because the message is probably, in most cases, the most important component of the success of their campaigns. We are involved in developing dynamic ROI tracking with our research suppliers. We are building pre-testing tools to help our advertisers. I'm not going through these here. And finally, we are experimenting with adaptive models to, once again, help people unleash the total and value of our media. And it isn't just TV. We recently unveiled a new cross-media measurement program that we initiated with Nielsen to combine the television and radio audience databases in our major markets. And this is where you get new learning. In the past, national advertisers looked at radio as a low-cost, efficient way to add frequency to a broad-reach television campaign. However, with more and more competition in the television market, it has become increasingly difficult and less efficient to build reach beyond certain levels. As a result, radio has now become a reach medium, adding valuable exposure to lighter viewing portion of the population. As this combined database approach moves to more and more markets, it will provide modelers with the analytical tools necessary to build radio into their models. So, to conclude, the short answer to the question, where are we going from here? I will say in one word, crazy. Now I think we all could use a drink.
Well, that's a good way to end the program. There is a lot, and I thank you all for staying so long. I hope you've learned a few things and you're not just pulling your hair out. And also eager to work together with everyone on solutions. Just a reminder that the presentations will be up on the SIM website tomorrow. And just please join us for a drink before you go. Thanks. Bye.